Greetings, Hoodians of YouTube, and welcome to another video with me, Sutekh. Now today, as dictated by the title, we'll be taking a look at another Season 22 series, the fourth to be precise, The Two Doctors. Now, you may be wondering why I'm not currently reviewing Mark O'Brien, which is the third series of Season 22, and Preceded Adventures of the Virus, which I reviewed a while ago. And primarily, I've only ever seen that story once. If you're looking for justification, I've only ever seen it once, and I wasn't particularly fond of it at all. And correspondingly, I thought we'd skip it and go straight to The Two Doctors, which, as I'll divulge later, I'm tremendously fond of. And perhaps later, we'll go back and take a look at Mark. But for now, yes, we'll be reviewing The Two Doctors. So, as I've just said, I would like to say, first of all, originally, on my first perception of the story, which was about 2 years ago, perhaps less, I really did not enjoy the story at all. I thought the Sontarans were atrocious, and there were numerous attributes I despised and very much loathed. But then, on the second and third viewing, the third viewing being about a week ago, I've grown, as I said, very, very incredulously fond of this story. And correspondingly, I have numerous pros that I will now go into. So yes, as always, we'll analyse the pros and cons of this episode and then provide our overall rating out of 10. So, proceeding with the pros. Now obviously, hence the title, The Two Doctors, this series sees the return of both the second Doctor as portrayed by Patrick Troughton originally from 1966 and 1969, as well as Jamie McCrimmon as portrayed by Fraser Hines from 1966 to 1969, funnily enough. A 16-year absence until, well actually no, sorry, on second thought, the last appearance, obviously, these two, was 4 years ago in the 20th anniversary special, The Five Doctors, and Jamie only obtaining a minimal cameo. But, like I said, after 4 years of absence, both of them automatically reapprise their role irretrievably, impeccably. It's just like we're in the 60s again. They're just back in the role, and know exactly what they're doing, and they portray both of their characters utterly phenomenally. And it's elating to see these two of one of my favourite TARDIS teams, Jamie, Zoe, and the second Doctor. And the chemistry between Jamie and Zoe is just oh my god, sorry. The chemistry between the second Doctor and Jamie, rather, is utterly extraordinary, and it's positively elating to see that again. So yes, they both reapprise their role so very well, and it's like there's no year difference between their last appearance and that appearance. And yes, like I said, the chemistry between the two is exceedingly prominent. It's just so wonderful to see on screen. And two, the second Doctor in particular, even though this is technically not within his era, he gives one of the best performances he's ever given as the second Doctor. He is phenomenal in the story, and he's just so incomprehensible performance. It's utterly marvelous. So yes, and equivalently, the Sixth Doctor, my favourite, and Perry are both very good in this story with marvellous performances as always, and the chemistry between them two is once again very, very enjoyable to perceive on screen. And I like the depiction of development rather, between Doctor and Companion, the differences between the two pairing, and I particularly like the chemistry between Perry and Jamie when they first encounter one another. I think it's exceedingly enjoyable, and the way they comment and sort of compare their own doctors is very, very interesting to see, and very enjoyable, and sort of links the audience furthermore, because obviously some of them may have experienced these two doctors. So yes, also, this now, the primary attribute of the story that stimulates my so great fondness for it is the chemistry between the Sixth Doctor and the second Doctor. And you'd think initially Colin Baker, only been in the role for about a year maybe, he may be intimidated by this posing figure, well, I say posing, not physically, but perhaps psychologically, figure of Patrick Troughton, who was one of the most beloved doctors and beloved English actors in that period. But no, not at all. He treats Troughton like his equivalent, and the chemistry between them, like I said, is just utterly extraordinary. So indisputably brilliant. And like I said, I could articulate innumerable scenes in which these two are just so wonderful together. But most particularly when they're in the villa or whatever you want to call it, and Troughton's on the wheelchair, and Colin comes over, or I should say, the Sixth Doctor comes over to the Second Doctor and just looks at him, exasperated, as if he's a father to the Second Doctor being just a troublesome, mischievous little kid, which basically he is. The way he looks at him, and the dialogue in that scene, it's just marvellous to see. And Robert Holmes, you have my immeasurable, unreserved commendation for the dialogue between these two doctors, and singly the Second Doctor's dialogue, which I'll go on to later. It's so good, it's so crisp, it's so believable, and it's just exquisite. Tremendously, impeccably written. So very well done. And the way the Sixth Doctor comments, "I've come a long way for you," as if he's scolding him like a mischievous child, as I said, after the child committed some transgression. And the way he's so sordid towards the Second Doctor, but also treating him like sort of a competitor. It's just fun. It's just pure fun on the screen, and it's wonderful. And yeah, like I said, and they bicker so well between one another, but also work as a team for the most part. It's just the relationship between them is just glorious, actually glorious. And as I said, referring back to the Second Doctor, he once again, he gives one of the greatest performances in his career in this episode, and the dialogue between, just the dialogue in general for the Second Doctor, written by Robert Holmes, it's just, it's so good. It's masterfully written, particularly his conversation between Sutekh, the Sontaran, who I'll go on to later, and the Second Doctor. It's so well written, and it puts a smile on my face. Uses a smile on anyone's face, I would think. It's just so good. He is a genius, or was, unfortunately. Was a genius, and some of the stories he's produced for Doctor Who, including this one, are exquisitely written. Going on to the supporting characters now, going on to the mains. Shockeye, I would say he's an interesting character. And although he can be somewhat repetitive, and it's a little bizarre maybe, but we like bizarre, yeah, a little bizarre, he can be, his dialogue and his sort of ethical moral complexes behind it are actually, when you think about it, exceedingly morbid. Incredulously morbid, eating, he speaks constantly eating human flesh, and how his desire to kill and taste these beasts. Although it's somewhat played for comic relief at times, it like I said, it's very honest, exceedingly so. So yeah, Shockeye is an interesting character. I like him. You've got Chesini and Starry, the other two supporting characters in the story, who are very good. They are very good. Both performances are of extreme quality. They portray their characters wonderfully, in fact, and they're very believable and very enjoyable characters to watch. That's all I can really say about that. Oscar, who is the sort of the failed actor who's managing a restaurant in the city. I think he works well, because obviously he's just there for comic relief primarily. I think he's a fun character. I think he's really enjoyable to watch. And his exchanges between the Sixth Doctor and the Sixth Doctor posing as a policeman is really nice. And it's just fun. It's just fun to watch. And then going on to the Sontarans. Now, unlike New Who, in this story and all of Classic Who, but particularly this story, they're displayed as indubitably formidable, barbarous, pugnacious opponents for the Doctor. Attributes of Sontarans that are really needed to make them believable and just portray them well as they were originally written in the timeline. So yes, that they are portrayed wonderfully well sometimes as a formidable force, barbarous, strategic, rather. Barbarous but simultaneously strategic, indeed, and with no concern for others. So yes, the Sontarans are very good, strong characters that are very much believable, and actually tremendously tenacious and intimidating. So yeah, so that I could go on and go on about the pros, but that pretty much concludes the primary attributes that make the story so marvelous. But going up to the cons, having said that, having said all about that with Sontarans, prosthetics for them aren't brilliant at all. I mean, Val with the lieutenant, I don't know, but the other Sontaran, not the group marshal, yeah, you can hardly see his lips moving when he's talking. But you know, I can usually get about past the prosthetics, but that irritates me a little, it affects me a little bit. And the dialogue with the Sontarans, at times, the majority of the time, it's fine. It's really enjoyable. But at times, it's a little stale, and a little repetitive. But that's a real nitpick, because the majority of the time it's wonderfully written again by Robert Holmes, and the exchanges between the Second Doctor and the Sontarans are glorious. Now referring back to Oscar, the comic relief character, the death of Oscar. No. Allow me to say first that I'm always fond of a little violence and barbarism and pugnation in Doctor Who, because I think it's really good to surprise the audience or even scare the audience. But season 22 is obviously a season of many chances being taken and a lot of more barbarous attributes being integrated. But this one just seems a little unnecessary. The death of Oscar, I think, wasn't needed, and it's quite saddening. But yeah, I think it's a little over the top, and the way they actually play his death, the comic relief as well, I don't think it works on this occasion. Although everyone plays their part, the portrayal of all the characters makes the scene watchable, and I don't think it's necessary, and they could have done something a little different. And yeah, the only other con I have written down here on my note sheet is that Sontarans are defeated a little too easily, but I think you can get past that. I think it's conceivable how they're defeated, but perhaps I would have liked to. On second contemplation, actually, Sutekh, Group Marshal Sutekh, after being subjected to the chronic acid by Cassini, he goes on for a little bit and vaporizes his ship. And being subjected to acid, normally a human would perish immediately, so perhaps by showing that he has some resilience to it and is able to survive, maybe that does show more formidability of the Sontarans. So yeah, I retract that comment. They're not defeated too easily. The satisfactory and does work further to show the strength and formidability of the Sontarans. So yeah, that's all the cons I have written down. I cannot find one other fault with this story. And in a season that's prevalently criticised and not particularly liked by the community, I think this was a real gem, as well as Vengeance on Varos and Attack of the Cybermen. Like I said, I'm really fond of season 22. But if you're a Second Doctor fan, but you're not a fan of season 22, I'd take a look at this, because he steals the show. He honestly does, and he does it so very well. And I'd recommend this story to everyone. So, Sutekh of Mars rating 8 out of 10 for $2. So, that just about concludes this review. However, there's something I'd like to tag on the end quickly. There is a particular YouTuber that I'm exceedingly fond of and have been subscribed to for a while now, that really does deserve a lot more recognition. And that is someone called Batman March. Now originally his channel's purpose was to produce action figure adventures. Unfortunately he's concluded that now, but what he's probably done up to 100 action figure adventures, and some that he's done are better than what's on screen currently, better than Doctor Who at the moment. A couple of months ago, he concluded his 8th Doctor series, which showed the story of the 8th Doctor, what could have been, and also his affairs during the Time War, and his final season of the 8th Doctor figure adventures. Is just, it's so good. It's extraordinarily written, so much better than series 5 to 8 of Doctor Who on the screen. It's so good. Go check it out immediately. Batman March, 8th Doctor season 3. That should have been the 50th anniversary. Just tell the story of that. Just put that on the screen. It's so good. Go look at it. I beg of you. Paul McGann has even seen it, and he said he really enjoyed it. So yeah. And then other than that, currently Batman Marches produces a lot of content, a lot of marvellous content. He's currently got a series going called Cat Reviews, in which he and his girlfriend, who's not a fan of Doctor Who, review a story of each of the 12 Doctors, excluding the War Doctor. And it's hilarious to see her reactions. So yeah, I won't go on too much about it, but Batman March is an extraordinary YouTuber, one of my very favourite, a brilliant Doctor Who YouTuber, and you should go check him out immediately. So yeah, that's a little shout out. And that just about concludes this video at last. So I hope you have enjoyed this review, and I hope I may have inspired you to go take a look at the 2 Doctors, or maybe give it another chance if you didn't particularly like it the first time. So until the next time, I bid you adieu.